Hey everybody, welcome to episode 84, I think, of Tactical Crouch. We missed a Monday because, well, some of us couldn't go outside, get basic food and necessities, and so we need to call an audible, but we're back here. It is Wednesday, I think March 18th. Happy post-St. Patty's Day to you all. I don't know, did you celebrate St. Patty's Day at all, either of you guys? No.
Can't leave.
Yiska, you might be
Well,
muted.
I guess I could, but...
Yep, you're muted, Yiska.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Jeez.
I was.
No, nothing. We didn't really either. I mean, we never celebrate St. Patrick's Day, but, like, it was a weird one. Like, seeing
kind of a weird time.
Seeing people walk down the sidewalk in green and getting yelled at. Go inside.
Yeah. What are you doing?
It's kind of weird. I was in one of the first counties in the United States that was not like quarantined. We're under like a shelter advisory, or I forget the official term. So basically it's like we are strongly advised under threat of misdemeanor to not go outside unless we're going out for basic goods and services or emergency services. So we can go to like the grocery store. We can go help a family member in need. We can go to the hospital. And so it's pretty, or we can go to work if our work is an essential service and stuff. So they've got that all defined, and I don't know how they enforce it all or whatever. So thankfully though, we're good. We're responsibly stocked up on groceries, not greedily, but responsibly stocked up on groceries. And I don't know. Even before this whole, I'm just going to call it a quarantine, even though it's not a quarantine thing. I just don't want to define it every time. We, even before the quarantine, I probably haven't gone outside except to take my dog out in like 4 weeks. So been training for this for my whole life.
Exactly. See, gamers, we were already prepared. We were ahead of the curve.
It's just, has someone made the karaoke version of that intro yet? Nobody has. I would love it if someone
See, what
did.
we need is a Yiska Ayaya version of the intro. We need a season 2 intro and maybe a closer. Maybe we need a closing song like we're an anime, and Yiska can be the closer.
That would require me losing a Lord bed, but something.
What do you think we could?
That can happen.
Getting that for free.
That can happen.
What do you think we could do with this?
Thank you for investing in your favorite anime girl.
I'm telling you, that should be the intro. And then like the beat drops and the song plays.
Yeah.
I actually have some ideas. Shoot.
Yeah?
I shouldn't have asked because now I'm going to like actually make something, I think.
Get it ready.
Probably.
Get it ready. We'll get him in. We'll get him in a Lord bet. We'll goat him into something.
We'll do it. All right. Well, chat, everybody else, thanks for being here. We've said it before, but if you're listening on the VOD or on the podcast, we've already said this is probably going to be a little bit more chill and laid back of an episode than you're used to. So if you absolutely hate it, make sure you let us know, but do so in a way that doesn't like make me ban you from ever commenting on a video again. That's just it. Like, be kind.
Just be creative,
Yeah. So I like it being the sub donor sound. I would too, but we don't play sounds during the show because that's really like distracting for like the audio listeners and VOD people. So we're not going to do that. But thank you for being here. Show is supported by our patrons. So if you like the show, go to patreon.com/tacticalcrouch. We do appreciate it. Thankfully, I believe, I know myself and Joe, we work remotely. So, but I don't know, are any of you guys affected at all by having to
Not really
work from home?
Yeah. Like, okay, I work full-time the esports job at GG Recon now, but I still have some hours, and they shut down all educational facilities in Germany. Technically, we could, I believe, still, even though I think that changed today. But they're doing something with a virtual classroom. Maybe we'll pick up virtual classes next week or the week after or something. So we'll see. But otherwise, yeah, I've pretty much been staying in. Last day at non-virtual work was Monday, and other than that, everything's closed right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, thankfully, we at least all have sources of income coming through with, full-time jobs and stuff. So,
yep.
But is it bad that you went to the gym? Maybe. Probably.
Maybe.
As long as nobody else was there with you and you didn't come in contact with anything else and you sanitized everything, I bet it would be fine. For a betting person. But we are not health professionals. So, we're also probably the wrong people to ask.
Twelve.
All right. So patreon.com/tacticalcrouch. When we record the show. We record the show every Monday and Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Twitch.tv/KickedTripod. Let's get into the news. Brought to you by Battle Crab, Pin, Lotion, Charlie L, Audio Compass, Pork Chop, Sammy, Kasha67, Coochie Kopi, Salsa Boy 91, and Shara. 10 of them. 10
now hit
patron producers.
Thank you for investing in your favorite anime girl.
There it is. Thank you for investing into your favorite anime girl, Yiska. Appreciate it. I also have the Yiscat t-shirt as well. bit.ly/TCP shop, or just go to Designed by Humans and go to search for KickedTripod. And we got that cool Yiscat stuff. We also have the Race of the Mayhem thing, which I'm actually crushing, by the way. Down 9 pounds, which is something that's been kind of difficult for me.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been really weird between like working out and consuming a lot of protein, but also like wanting to trim a little bit. Like I don't want to lose all my muscle mass, but I don't. But like not being able to work out how I normally work out has, I think, helped quite a bit. So
yeah, for me, it's much harder. I actually put on a pound again, so gotta figure that out because I definitely move significantly less. Even though I'm pretty much a couch potato, I still like I've like in the recent past, I played some Pokemon Go with friends.
Mm-hmm.
I never missed the 25 kilometer. So like, what's that? 12 miles.
Yeah, it's like 2.2 miles.
Yeah. I've never. Yeah.
Or is that pounds?
No, not two.
Is that the
No,
pounds?
that's kilograms.
No, it's 1.8 miles. Is sorry, 1 mile is 1.8 kilometers.
That's why we don't do math.
Sounds right. Sounds right.
Streamer math.
So like 12 miles a week it's not a lot, but it's definitely more than literally not more than 2,000 steps a week that I'm doing right now. So yeah, I definitely notice.
Yeah. I've been at like a huge calorie deficit at least, so I find that resting metabolic rate and then you just sit under it best you can, and that's been pretty good. Katie's been making really healthy food, so it's been really easy to not be hungry anymore because I don't want to eat it. No. And I can't go to Burger King or something.
It's not fun.
It's tough, man. Making those big sacrifices.
Yeah. See those Danishes? You see that bread?
Oh man.
It's like, I love my salad. Yes, I do. I don't want to eat your cake. Nope, I sure don't. Danishes, never met them. Cookies, never had one.
Katie made cupcakes. Yellow.
Don't know what those are.
Yellow cake cupcakes with chocolate frosting and sprinkles.
It doesn't start with S and Ed with Alid. I never met it.
Fair enough.
She doesn't go here.
Proud of you. Get it done. Do it. Okay. Let's actually talk about the news though. And we got an update from John Spector and the Watchpoint boys and gals on the season. And here's what we know. All matches through April 26th, so that's week 12, will be played online and broadcast on YouTube and MLG.tv. We don't know if that will be extended. But right now, it's confirmed through week 12 will 100% be played online. They've also made a change to hero pools that have been updated to have a weighted selection based on hero play rate. So if the play rate is 10 to 25%, there's one entry. 25 to 50%, there's two entries. 50 to 75%, there's three entries, and 75% and over is four entries. I think this has been a popular request quite a bit, because it's I don't know. I think it's kind of weird. I think this mostly solves the problem, but doesn't solve the problem for me. But before I expound on that, Joe, I want to hear your thoughts on A, if you like the change, and B, if you think that this is the best version of the change.
The best version, I think that might be tough for me in particular because I'm pretty against hero pools in general. But if I was to hold the position that I like them, then I think this is a step in the right direction. I think this starts to limit the randomness. I think this starts to attack the heroes that people are either like tired of seeing or are just like being played over and over. More likely than not. Obviously not 100% of the time, but that certainly helps. And I think over the season, if this continues, that should assist in rapidly changing what is played week by week. Like if May is just so good and she's played 80% of the time across 2 weeks, then yeah, maybe she should go and maybe she should get 4 or 5 tickets, right? Like that makes sense. The problem that this doesn't account for, which I talked to a couple people about beforehand, especially with May, is that the lottery system doesn't account for like natural meta changes that aren't specifically being banned. Like if you take out Reinhardt, right? May doesn't necessarily have to be played. Like there is a world where all of the teams that were being played, all the teams that were supposed to play in week 6 or week 5, I don't remember exactly which one it was. They could all just play dive and May doesn't get played and she's still eligible to be banned, even though she's been rotated naturally throughout the meta. Does that make sense? So like she could still be in the lottery, even though she hasn't been played in a week. Like that, I think that necessarily isn't a problem, but I think that that's something that the community is going to have to like realize and be like, whoa, I don't like that. She wasn't played. Like, why is she being banned? Like, grr. This also doesn't account for like the 1 week turnaround, which again, I think is my biggest problem with it in general. I think this stresses out players. Like even though they're not traveling, even though they're playing online, this is very detrimental to player health, coaches' mental health. This was not something that the teams, to my understanding, were knowledgeable about going into this. So I think you just need to give more time to the players, to the coaches, to figure out what is being played. And I think that would be my ideal change. I think this is a step in the right direction, but I think these people need more time.
Yiska, are you a fan of the weighted pick rates?
Yeah, I think it's nicer because it takes away a little bit of the RNG of it all. I feel like I'm really indifferent to it, to be honest. I also got to say, like, I think the point Joe raised with like bans being, or heroes being banned that were banned based on the pick rate of the week before. I think that's fine. I think that actually counteracts just like cycling metas in some instances. Yeah, generally, like this is nothing like I care much about. It's barely like the duration
For sure.
of these bans.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
So I have a few gripes with it, and I won't be as eloquent as either Joe or Yiska in expressing them, but there are a few things that kind of bother me with it. Number one, I think the 10% threshold is kind of too low. There's so, if the goal is to target the meta, it feels like when you add the 10% heroes, it's kind of like, well, let's see if we actually make an impact to the meta this week, or if you just can't run. I don't know what's a hero that like Symmetra.
Sure.
Right. I think Symmetra was technically there, or very close to there at 10%. And so it's like, let's see if, there's a 1 in 6 chance that this ban means virtually nothing for that. So if it's to target the most popular, quote unquote, oppressive heroes in the meta, I don't think that 10% is I think 10% is disingenuous to that goal. I think it's conservative, and I think that they could easily raise it up. The second thing is I don't think that pick rate necessarily always correlates with the level of oppressiveness of that hero, especially when pick rate is often tied to specific maps and map types. So I think May is an obvious one where when May was in, like, let's use the first 4 weeks, May was in, whatever,
Sure.
like 88% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
What it probably is a really good candidate for something to get banned, because there was a level of like oppressive-ness to it, I guess, if that makes sense. But if you look at some of the heroes, like, I don't know, I'm
Soldier 76.
Sure, legs. Let's bring legs into it. Like, is Soldier oppressive?
No.
Is Soldier something that, if he stops seeing play, all of a sudden drastically shifts the meta or counters it? Not really.
No.
Right? So I don't think it totally achieves the goal. I think the biggest problem is like, if you're asking me to come up with an alternative solution, I don't think I can come up with a data-driven one.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, you don't always want that, right? Like, otherwise you have alternating metas, if that's not the case. Like, you gotta have some variance in the band. Otherwise, you get from meta archetype, these heroes are played here, to meta archetype, these heroes are being played here. And then we just alternate from week to week.
But I think the problem with that is what Joe originally said, in the fact that we probably shouldn't be doing this every week.
Yeah.
Like, that's
I think that's probably something we can all agree on.
Yeah, that's accounting for a timeline deficiency,
where we only see like
really
certain teams,
a hero deficiency, right? So
yeah.
I think you kind of almost introduce the same thing by banning irrelevant heroes. You essentially elongate the timeline, except you add the additional randomness of, you might have to prepare a little this week as far as a meta change goes, or a lot.
Right.
Which, I don't know, maybe, and there probably is some value in, awarding teams for being able to adapt to metas faster than others.
Mm-hmm.
I think there is. And, it kind of reminds me of TFT. Is like, a big part of the game is, for me, is like, I like to study metas and then get really good at it. And so fast changing metas just screw me over, because fundamentally, like, I don't just
you're a refiner.
I don't naturally just see these changes and go, oh, I'll do this and this instead. And so it kind of punishes me, who's not a very adaptive player. But if we play the same thing for a month, like, I think, Joe, I would beat you if we played the same single composition for a month. I think I would beat you. But if we changed it every couple days, you'd beat me 8 out of 10 times.
Maybe.
I don't know if that necessarily means that I am worse or you're better, but it rewards something differently, right?
Yeah, we're just rewarding something different. Exactly. And go ahead.
No, like, I'd end the point and open another counterform. So go on.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to my general philosophy of like Blizzard not understanding what they want Overwatch to be just yet. Again, they've left themselves like a very casual like backdoor to like leave hero pools. They've publicly said it a number of times. Like, if it doesn't work, then we can stop doing it. That's fine. Like, they're open to that, which is good. But it also like goes back to that idea that like we don't know what we want to do at this. We don't know what you guys want. It seems like you guys want this, but what happens if you just get tired of it again? Like we really don't know exactly what this is supposed to be just yet. And almost everything, it feels like, stems from that. Whether it's like the PvE mode where it's like there is like a very vocal community that does want that, but then there's almost like half of us that don't. There's half of us that want one thing, and then there's half of us that don't. There's half of us that like Hero Pool, and then there's like a minority that doesn't. Like it seems like there's just always, and there's always that in a lot of different games. Like, don't get me wrong, like the grass isn't greener somewhere else, but it feels much more polarizing and separated than almost any community that I've kind of participated in.
I think generally the wants of the players and the coaches and the organizations are actually kind of at odds with the wants of the average viewer in that sense too. Like there have been some Overwatch League coaches and players who have reacted positively, or at least acknowledged that, hey, the hero pool changes are a positive change. There's also been a lot of them that are just like, well,
yeah,
they're just like, well, there goes, my reasonable
Sleep,
50
livelihood.
to 60 hour work weeks. Now we're up to 75, 80 again. Sweet. I thought I got out
sure
of
do love
contenders
cortisol.
to do. Yeah.
That's right.
And so like, Jesus.
I hope that's right.
Yeah. So, like, I don't know. I get it. And I understand the conundrum that the league office like has in balancing those. Because if you don't have viewers, it doesn't matter what the players want, because nobody's watching, they're not bringing in revenue, and you're screwed. And at the same time, if the players aren't happy and they aren't able to play and feel like they're playing, a game that they enjoy playing, that eventually in the long term, you lose players in there. They go to other games, and all of a sudden we have a bunch of like, Sideshow, whose diamond is all of a sudden Grant GM because, all the good players have left. And then Sideshow gets, Brenji. We get Brenji on an Overwatch League team. And then
I think people would eat that up, to be completely honest with you. But
yeah,
is that something that the shareholders were sold on? It's very bizarre. This move. Again, it's not something that I think we should probably spend a ton of time ranting about, but I just want Overwatch to figure out what it wants to be and stick to it and build from there. We have to stop trying to take out the bottom brick for a rotary engine instead of just a inline six. You know what I mean? Like, we can't just keep reinventing what we're doing. We have to kind of like stick to something, a baseline, and then build on top of that.
I mean, might as well right now, and that was kind of like my
sure.
further
If
point.
this is what we want to be, then fine, we can do this, dude. But we just have to commit to it.
This season, in meaning, is over.
Yeah.
All right. Like,
sadly,
it chopped away. Like the everything in the planning chopped away at the meaning, and then like you have a tail risk event like the coronavirus, and it's gone, dude. I don't care that much, and I also think coaches shouldn't care to the point where they're risking their mental health or health. And I also think team owners shouldn't jeopardize or like evaluate performances based on whatever is happening in this season. I think this season we should take it for what it is. It's the season where some teams have a significantly harder way into the playoffs, barring that we are actually using that playoff qualification format. It's a season where hero pools almost randomizes who has an inherent advantage, because the scenarios to plan for are way too complicated to foresee. And we have a season with online play. It is like, let's just enjoy, right?
Yeah.
Like that's basically where I've arrived. Like we kept chopping away at the meaning. I adapted. Now this happens. Let's have some fun. That's where I'm at.
Yep. If this is what we want it to be, let's commit to it. And this is Overwatch now. Okay, that's fine. I'm okay with this. I think the 2-week changes are probably inevitable. I think that it's going to have to happen sooner or later. And at that point, then yeah, I think hero pools for me specifically are probably a little bit more tolerable. I mean, they already right. I can't disagree with what a lot of people are saying and saying that they're not more interesting to watch. Like, yeah, I do like seeing more different, more variants in hero picks. I think that teams will adapt to that and get better. And the level of matches will increase. So like the Overwatch that I'm looking for will develop sooner or later. But I need that commitment. I need Overwatch to commit to playing hero pools and being like, okay, we are going to do this for this season. If it works, we'll stop next season. But it can't just be like, we'll just do it for 2 weeks and maybe just, okay, figure out what you want to do. Give me something that I can like start to learn.
Do you think that while Jane is inventing esports, he can also just invent a latencyless internet?
That would be great.
Problem solved.
I mean,
that'd be perfect.
Not sure about latencyless, but Elon Musk is trying with his satellites, right? Like, what's the estimation? Like the high speed versions would like connect everyone on the planet under 130, I think.
I'm a Comcast
with the exception of Australia,
JK.
because it's a godforsaken place.
JK. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, but I bet you it'd be better, especially like across lines there. So yeah, I would. Yeah, great. I'm all for it. There's a acceptable level of latency, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we as humans have latency anyways. Have you seen some of the like the reaction speed and reaction time of like a Major League Baseball batter? It's like 4 times as reactive as the average person.
I wonder how it matches up against other like pro players.
I want to say there was a video that like that tested that and showed that.
Yeah, it's like Corey with
was it
with
Team USA?
No. It was with Linus Tech. Like where they were testing if 144 hertz monitors and everything really impacted reaction time and everything and aim and all this type of stuff. And Corey had pretty nutty reaction time.
I mean, it makes sense.
Like better than Shroud.
Huh.
That's dope.
Very interesting.
So speaking of latency, so the Overwatch League is being split into 3 divisions to minimize that latency, right? So the Atlantic Division is going to stay the same. They're going to play on the American East Coast server, and apparently they're all currently based there. I don't know anything else like specifically about where specific teams are. If like they're all in New York City or hanging out at Boston's training facility or something, or if they're like scattered throughout there and they like include Houston as East Coast or whatever. So I honestly don't know. But the Shock, Valiant, Gladiators, Titans, Fuel, and Dynasty will play on the West Coast server. And then the Chengdu Hunters, Hangzhou Spark, Guangzhou Charge, and Shanghai Dragons will play on the Chinese server. And Yiska, there's some kind of interesting implications about this, aren't there?
In terms of how often people play each other? Or what do you mean?
I mean, just like in general, but...
Yeah. Like, I wrote a piece where I was like, okay, let's maybe look at just making some of those show matches and then picking up later or whatever. But then again, like I sent that piece in, I saw the news that was pretty much coming in at the same time as my piece was being scheduled, and it just broke me, dude. I'm just like, whatever. Like the messaging like was honestly a little bit disappointing, especially like where their mindset in terms of like the LEC and the LCS. They're better prepared for this because they didn't count on a homestead model and are more localized, and latency for that reason is not a problem. But it's also like they definitely directly mentioned we're looking at competitive integrity. We cannot send referees to these things. Like, this is all the questions I have. Like, that's not figured out right now, I don't think. Like, what kind of precautions are being taken that nobody calls during the matches in terms of the coaching staff, like calling old status, calling strategies, rotations, and whatnot. Cheats. I mean, that's not going to happen, but you still want to check for it somehow. You want to have something in place for that. So the fact that we didn't talk about this at all, bro, like, not a fan of that.
It's kind of par for the course. Like, is it disappointing? Yeah. But this is also, the league that still wears a rule book. It's probably been updated a number of times. Still that's not public. There's a lot of things that just aren't talked about, that are just kind of like kept under the rug. And yeah, it's par for the course that we don't talk about a lot of these prying issues. Even when it comes to like players being fined or potentially removed from the league, like that's not things that we talk about, even though we probably should, for whatever reason. Whether it's they think it's bad optics, I have no idea, but it's par for the course. It is what it is.
I can't remember what it was, but I think it might have been Hearthstone. But there used to be, they had to really like straighten up Hearthstone online tournaments, because essentially what players were doing is they would like hop in a Skype call on a second screen and have other players speak to them just through their headphones.
Like,
and like, I wonder,
coaching type of deal.
I wonder what the Overwatch League is doing besides like honor code to like make sure that there's not this secondary or third conversation. Be like, you know what? We're going to get you a Go XLR Mini. We're going to plug your phone in there, and we're going to have everyone on a call, and you can have a coach right there in your ear all of a sudden. Like, some real New England Patriots, and like, it'd be really interesting to see if there's anything in place, if there's rules, if the client can detect like other programs open. Kind of things like that.
That's a tough one. It's it is a weird time to do an online league like this. Not completely the Overwatch League's fault. It, like I said, global pandemic, something that it's going to be pretty difficult to prepare for. But I can't rag on them too hard, right? Like, this is tough to figure out. So we just, if stuff happens this season, you punish accordingly and you move on to the next season and hope that, we don't have another global pandemic, right? Or you've learned from this and try to facilitate it in a number of ways, whether that's getting visas earlier so that you can move people around if something happens, whether it's, God forbid a war breaks out, stuff like that, something that it's very difficult to control, like geopolitically. And you can move people around so you get their visas earlier, or you try to
have more breaks.
Sure. Right. Like there's going to be changes to 2021 and season 4 because of the coronavirus, and history in general will probably remember it and learn, hopefully, from it. So yeah, it's a weird time to do much of anything. So I can't blame Blizzard.
I also want to get ahead of this and just say, I'm not saying that online format means that teams are going to cheat and that people should.
Yeah, of course.
No.
Invest a ton of time and effort into like,
but it's something you have to take.
But it's something that is, and it has been done in other Blizzard esports, right? So it's not the most crazy thing to be like, what's the contingency plan here? How are they communicating that to teams? Are they mentioning it explicitly? Overwatch PD's got our back.
Exactly. At least we have our own police department,
Oh Jesus. But yeah, like, so I don't want to, like, the fact that we're bringing it up on the show doesn't mean that it's like all the teams are going to cheat now and they're going to make it. We're not saying that.
No.
So.
No,
not at all.
But you don't want to entice people either. And I'll also say, like, coaches calling is definitely another level of cheating than using hard aimbots.
Yeah.
Like,
anything that you wouldn't normally be able to get a hold of or utilize on stage, you shouldn't be able to use, and it's creating a system so where they can't, or they're punished for doing so. I would even go as far
as to say is that they shouldn't even be able to have a second monitor.
Yeah, sure. They should just be recorded. Their voice should be recorded. Their gameplay should be recorded. There should be a camera within their player room just recording the entire action. No secondary programs should be allowed, like Discord, like all
TeamSpeak open. You gotta have TeamSpeak.
TeamSpeak only.
Official VoIP provider of the Overwatch League.
Yeah.
Yep. or like or whatever, the Overwatch League like sends like specifically provisioned user accounts to all the league computers. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to go overboard and be like, come up with all these guard rules for just like a bunch of kids who just want to play a video game kind of thing, but it needs to it's
you gotta have
right.
something
It's
in place.
just above that where, all it takes is for somebody to cheat to like completely just throw this thing off the edge of a cliff at this point. Overwatch League is already in such a delicate place. We lost homestands, which is like what we were working towards. Like, remember how we talked about how geolocation was so great and then we weren't able to go outside? Like, that's going to be a thing that we're going to talk about in 10 years.
Yep.
So I don't know.
I mean, I never thought geolocation was a good idea, but
we know.
I mean, you're wrong, but
like at this point, like with these schedules, how they're shaking out 6 games, teams playing 3 games consecutively, teams playing twice a day. Dude, I understand you want to hold the illusion that Overwatch League teams are better than their contenders regions teams. But just like restructure and have contenders cups, have like Overwatch League teams playing cups with contenders together, like have the entire Asian market, Pacific contenders, Asian teams play like repeated cups there. Like it helps tier 2, helps the development there.
But that's the thing though. Like we always say it helps tier 2. It just helps Overwatch. It helps everything.
Yeah.
You're giving teams like a hands-on approach of dealing with, some of the top teams and that might be able to sway people one way or the other on, signing new players and maybe having a contenders team that you can, really dominate Overwatch, not just Overwatch League, but just the game in general. Like if you have a great league team and you have a great contenders team and they, intermingle sometimes and you're just always winning, that looks great. I feel like that looks great on a portfolio. I'm not a business guy, but I would imagine that sponsors would probably be interested in talking to me if my team was just great in general across everything and across Overwatch as a brand. I'm just good.
Yeah, I feel like especially like it's an illusion. Like at no point. Okay, let's exclude season 1 because it's hard to say that. Okay, what I'm about to say is the bottom 5 teams of Overwatch League could have easily been replaced with the best contenders teams in the world, and you would have seen an improvement in quality of those matches.
Yes.
Not sure about season 1, even though I would wager season 1 was also a case because Runaway was still there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
barring any kind of age restrictions, to be fair, but
still the case, guys. Like Overwatch League teams are still getting slapped by contenders teams in scrims all the time.
Yep.
So, like that illusion only holds up if you don't know
if it's
much
manufactured.
Yes. It is absolutely an artificial barrier that we've erected for good reasons in some regards because of age limitations and whatnot.
Sure.
Like you want to keep all of that lawful, but like just make the best of a bad situation. You're at the same time like because I can tell you what's happening for your average viewer minutes. They're going to tank, my dudes. Nobody's watching this much Overwatch in the next 4 weeks, 5 weeks. So what are you catching up for? Well, viewership hours, like definitely you're trying to catch viewers and more viewership hours than you previously did, which you absolutely will. Like viewership hours, not average viewership minutes, right? Yeah. So I think like if we space that out a little bit more, made it more engaging in terms of the formats, I think like if you guys were tired of like these games, like these teams are only playing against each other. It's like, dude, that was 15 teams that were playing against each other, like in some sort of rotation. Now it's like these small markets are playing against each other. And while it's an interesting thing because we're finally getting to a point where we can we have some data to compare teams by over a day-to-day period, other than like the finals formats we had, it's still like I don't know, like it feels not that necessary for this
Necessary for what?
like, why do you have to make everyone equal in this season? Why do you have to arrive at a playoff format where everyone qualified through the same amount of games when when the strength of schedule is obviously wildly different? Yeah. So is there really a need to press as many games? Like, you're probably not even increasing your average your hours watched by pressing so much Overwatch into it, simply because the viewership will drop like a lot.
I've got to imagine that's probably why they're doing like the Friday shows in April. What is it? What did we come to, like the first weekend or the first week in April or like the second week in April? What was the details? I think I remember getting it wrong and having Yiska correct me or something, but I think that kind of helps alleviate and still making up for the broadcast time that you promise to, whether it's sponsors or the team, whatever. That helps. And yeah, it's rough to try and cram all these games in. It doesn't help anybody. It certainly doesn't help the fans. Then we're talking about oversaturation, especially like week by week. Like that's a lot of Overwatch to be kind of like consumed and talked about and whatnot. And yeah, I agree. Like we're again measuring playoffs that that we got to in a kind of in a lie almost, right? Like we had to play so many games all at once, like playing teams that we've played 6 other times. We're not playing these other teams that we were supposed to play, and that's how we were supposed to get to the playoffs. And we haven't, changed the playoff format. Granted, we haven't heard any details on what the playoff format might be. They've said that they're subject to change. So we'll see. I don't know. It is what it is.
Tis what it is.
Exactly.
I'll also say it's kind of sad because they are definitely like hardcore competitors that still want to go as hard as before, and sure. It's just been made very hard to do so, and it also feels like I guess I wouldn't go there, but like it's a weird situation because we don't know what the Overwatch League will be like next year with Overwatch 2 and everything, with competitors coming out, and like this, I understand how that's like a problematic thing at the moment. I'm also not personally involved in I don't have as much skin in the game as the other people that are participating in this league. But yeah, it just feels like let's have fun. Let's maybe even try more. That's where I disagree with your point, because I still think Overwatch is like not a fun experience in general, especially as a game.
Yeah.
So like I would just say like let's keep tinkering, and this is a perfect situation where that would come in, where we could tinker, make sure that everyone understands like.
I mean, I'm not
that have been given here are not like cutting edge hardcore like type of stuff, but at the same time, now that the way the current format is being held, and I think it will mellow out as people realize the state of this. I think also like the circumstances will kind of solve themselves with hero pools. I'm not sure how hard coaches will continue doing. Like it will definitely, their drive is still super high right now. I think it will mellow out eventually.
They'll find like diminishing returns on hours put in versus how like reasonably you can be prepared. Like, of course, you want to be the most prepared.
I'm not sure about that. I think they will just care less.
But I maybe we disagree on how they come to caring less. Whether their motivation just depletes and then they get burnt out, or they actually just realize that putting in 12 hours for a game that's just going to change again. Or maybe restructuring how they think about each week and trying to simplify
if you
it.
mean that, like I thought you meant like you don't really need to, because you find out that there are so many similarities and fundamentals that you teach. I'm not sure if that's true. I think it will just constantly keep changing.
Yeah, I don't know what is true, but I can probably agree with the idea that coaches probably will have to try less, whether it's through like medical, like doctors telling them like, hey, maybe you should like chill. Or just like the eventual realization that maybe this just isn't worth putting in 12 hours a day, and we need to be able to our health is more important than trying to prepare for the extra 0.001%. We just disagree on how we get to that point.
All right.
Yeah.
Interesting. We're gonna see. We're just gonna see. We're gonna have to see what happens.
It'll be a fun ride, regardless.
But
Overwatch is a wacky and zany world, but
true.
We're here for it. We're here for it.
Speaking of wacky and zany, though, we're going to start looking at some teams that we haven't seen since week 1 of season 3.
Or at all.
And a team we haven't seen at all.
Which team haven't we
Soul.
seen at all?
Soul. We haven't seen Soul.
Soul. Yeah. So it's going to be a fun one. Only 4 matches to go through. So speak very slowly. And let's discuss.
I don't think we'll need to.
No, I don't think we'll need to either. But let's discuss these upcoming matches. The first one is going to be the Seoul Dynasty versus the San Francisco Shock. The Shock come in at a nearly 3-1 advantage, with a 73-27 advantage over there. So it's going to be the first, but let's talk about Seoul first. It's the first time that we've seen Seoul since season 3 or since season 2. So Joe, this is where, actually Yiska, this is where Seoul gets to finally show if they have gone past their season 1, season 2 borderline mediocrity, or at least we could say, would you say underperformance? Would you say
under their potential? Yeah, maybe. I think season 2 was closer. Season 1 definitely felt like, it
was a
not
complete
even making playoffs, dude.
Yeah, that was rough.
Oof. Yeah. Yeah, I think this matchup is quite fun, even though I'm kind of sad that, like, what I keep hearing is that Seoul used to be the best team in Asia. Now it isn't anymore. Now, whether or not this is due to Shanghai becoming this much better, I would still have to investigate. But like in my mind, like Shanghai Shock would have been the baller match probably. That we are sadly missing out on for quite a while now. I think it's also, I would have liked to see them in last week's Benz more so than
I think they would have had a much better time.
So, yeah, I think like the percentages we have probably is a little bit too heavily weighted towards the Shock. Like 65 feels more, feels better.
At least that's how we've seen Seoul, right? Like, basically we're comparing Seoul on paper versus the one match we've seen on Shock, and then Shock on paper. And I think given that, I don't necessarily disagree with the percentages. Is like, in actuality, if there's no surprises, that is probably what it should be. I do think, though, that we've seen a lot of variance in teams that have made major changes, both positively and negatively. And I think that would want me to close that delta a little bit. So. Do you disagree?
No, I agree. I agree more so, though. I think this delta is in Seoul's favor, just ever so slightly.
Now
so
you're just being controversial.
No. Let me sell you on this, okay? Go back to the one game that San Francisco's played. They played against Dallas, which should have been a 3-2, right? We remember Oasis. We remember like the frame perfect nano boost onto Striker that saved him from being picked from Decay. That should have been a 3-2. That game was very, very close. That game was closer than the score. You remember it. Okay. Now, this is also the Shock that has historically been slow to get into metagames. They lose to Atlanta. We go back to season 2, stage 1. They lose to Gladiators week 1. They lose to Titans, which is, reasonable. They drop a game to, or they drop a map to Spark. They just don't start seasons strong. I expect hero pools to kind of prey on that a little bit more. I also don't particularly like Seoul's odds here, but I think Seoul has a lot of strong pieces to match a lot of the firepower that San Francisco has. And I think this is going to be a lot closer than people expect. I think there is reason to believe that Seoul can win a control map in map 5. I think this is doable. Now, this is not considerably doable. This is like 55-45 territory where it could go either way.
Like 30% of the time.
Sure. But I like Seoul here.
Which is the percentages, Joe.
No, I think it's a lot more Seoul's way. I think this is Seoul's way. Shock does not come prepared immediately. They need time to refine.
Kind of, sort of able to maybe win map 5s. I think it's possible 55% of the time.
I think that's much more likely. I think I like those odds a lot better. I don't like Shock early. I don't know that I like Shock immediately in hero pools. They're playing Architect on Ana. Doesn't scream a lot of comfortability to me. I think if you can beat Shock, it's early, and I think hero pools again prey on that weakness that Shock historically has shown. I think Seoul has a chance here, and I give this match to them.
Yeah, I like. Of course, there's the strategic coach Wizard Young, and he was never slow to metas. He just never showed up.
Yeah, I mean, Prophet's a bad player.
So
Prophet's really bad too.
So between Toby, Creative, and Bedosian, though, with Lucio out, how do you think that plays out?
I think that is difficult to say. I think Toby does get hit there, and I think Gesture gets hit as well, not being able to play the Winston. But I think they should be fine.
But they can still defeat the most adaptable team in the Overwatch League, the San Francisco Shock.
We've measured them on adaptability across a regular season that doesn't include hero pools, though.
I just like, they're adaptable, just not hero pools. I don't know if I like.
Hero pools are a big change, wouldn't you agree?
They are a big change, but I don't think that makes the inverse all of a sudden true for them. And all of a sudden, this Seoul Dynasty team, with players who I would say maybe aren't as adaptable, all of a sudden become more adaptable because hero pools. That's like some
who's not adaptable?
Next level metagaming.
Who's not adaptable?
I mean,
Toby, we don't know. Like,
Toby.
Okay, they're probably
so
going.
Where's
to
Violet? Where's Violet? Where's Violet? Why isn't he being played? Why is Architect playing Ana? That doesn't scream unadaptable. Doesn't seem weird.
Because he's better.
Okay,
and
so
that was week 1
Toby
against
just
Dallas.
Can't be better.
That was week 1 against Dallas.
So they're sandbagging.
What? Toby is dude. Okay,
dude. What?
Week dude, one for an entire season is way different.
What level did Toby play last year? Let me hear it. What level did Toby play last year?
Average.
How many years has he been in Overwatch?
A lot.
Wash that guy, dude. He's out. You know it.
Yeah,
Washed.
I would agree.
You're
gonna need at least 20 seconds.
I'd like to see
to watch that, by the way.
Unfortunately, we don't, right? He's a role player. He's always been a role player. Arguably on the Music High, he was a little bit more of a star, but he's always been a vocal leader. He's always been that kind of rock for the team. And I think that's his role here in general. He's just going to be fine. Yes, he can't play his star player, or a star character, but I don't think that's like some sort of Chris death knell for this team. I think Shock in general, I think they're going to underperform, and I think they already have shown that they've underperformed. Look at Dallas. That game was closer than what you guys actually think. Go back and watch Oasis and tell me that game was decisive,
right? Like literally.
And then we have Prophet and we have Fitz.
Yeah, I think Fitz is absurd. Like, yeah.
Tell me this game isn't the other way around. I like Seoul here. It's not that I think San Francisco's bad. I think they will progress.
That's a little into the crystal ball for me, man.
Like the back line, I don't know about it. And then, like Marvel is definitely serviceable.
Yeah.
I also don't think we'll see much gesture simply because maybe we will. I mean, if we do, I better hope this guy shaped up in the offseason because
100%.
boy, Like,
but that's why I like Seoul's roster, is because even if he is just like god awful at ball, you can put Marvel on them. I like Seoul. Game 5, I think it's doable on control. I don't think this is. I think this is a close match either way. I just like Seoul in the scramble.
It's a 3-1, and Krusty doesn't even show up to the practice room.
Oh,
doesn't. He's standing in line at the Trader Joe's, getting the $8 victory wine,
getting the spices ready, cooking with Krusty.
Man, like, listen, I don't disagree that Seoul could win, but I disagree with every single justification you just made from it. Every single one.
I think if I was a betting man, I'd be willing to put some money on Seoul. Lineup wise, I don't think they're that far below.
Betting is also,
I agree, but
in a vacuum, pair each of these players up with their contemporary and the other team. I don't think Seoul's that far below.
Joe, you've taught us more
How
than
many
anything.
times? How many times have we gone through that argument? How many times have we gone through that argument on this very show? And you're going to tell me that's not fair.
That's it. But that's the argument. That you're always on the other side of that argument.
Right. He's not even right. Shock has clearly 4 better players. In the tank line, they're definitely better, and in the back line, they're definitely better.
What are you disagreeing with? You're agreeing with me. I just don't think they're that much better than what you think.
I mean,
I don't.
And that then translates to Seoul having in
hero pools,
in a hero pool that disadvantages them.
We're getting into some
who says they immediately disadvantage them? We don't know what Marvel can play. We don't know how good Marvel's ball is if they want to play dive. Yes, even if they go Ryan, Marvel's not god awful.
Play ball.
Oh yeah, we're like
season.
Okay. Here's the argument in the gaps. Oh, we don't know if Toby is like the best brigadier in the world. We don't know if Bedosian is like the best Anna. We don't know.
Maybe Bedosian played nothing but Anna.
Boys. Like
Bedosian maybe could have probably played nothing but Anna for 75 hours a week for the past year. You're right.
Guys, we don't know that if we can cure Corona by putting Kool-Aid into our eyeballs. Right, we don't know.
This is getting disingenuous.
55% it happens.
Joe's just Joe. I'm sorry. I respectfully don't agree with you,
and that's fine.
And I'm ready to make a Lord bet on it. I'm just kidding.
You got any more of those?
Dude, that's not like bettable.
Send this to Peak, guys. Send this to Peak. This is a Till Therapy episode submission. Let's go. I struggle with how like obnoxious like you think this call is. It's not
that's what's like mind.
It's just really difficult to say that any team right now is gonna beat an undefeated Shock that comes back as former champion, and everybody's healthy.
So they just win every game.
In.
Sure, that just write them off. They win everything.
Every match.
Atlanta loss doesn't count. Their close game against Dallas doesn't count. Yeah, they win again.
I mean, close.
They just win. Nope. Season 3, we got it.
I mean,
that's not how this works. It's not how hero pools work.
What I was.
That's not historically
saying.
how this is.
Do you think
worked.
that's actually what I meant?
That's what you said.
Do you think that's what I meant?
I don't know. You tell me.
No. The answer is no. No.
Dude, and that one game was like so far away. That was the time frame in which Valiant turned from 0-8 to beating Vancouver Titans. That's the same duration. Like this, it has very limited bearing on what's happening.
Sure.
Fishcast is completely right. Like, I cannot let go fully, right? Like, there's always some attachment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even if everything's falling off the cliff, we can still punch each other in the face on the falling rock that we're standing on, right?
Exactly.
See? That's how it works. Next game.
100%.
Do you have any more hot takes?
I've got plenty.
Oh my God.
Not plenty.
John, get me in.
Not plenty. I've got at least one more, I think.
All right.
Bring it on.
Gladiators versus Valiant. We're going back to the Battle of LA. Both of these teams come into the season with drastically different looks from the last year. We saw the Gladiators take Vancouver to map 5 in week 1. The LA Valiant put up a strong performance against Dallas. They defeated them 3-1. Lose to a deceptively competitive 3-0 sweep against Vancouver.
To be fair, like kind of to be expected.
Sure, yeah. In the same way of like the deceptively close 3-0 that the Shocker are going to put on Seoul this weekend. So I don't know. So we've got 62 Gladiators, 38 Valiant. How does that feel for you, Joe?
What was it?
68 Gladiators, 38 Valiant.
See, this is tough. Like in general, like in my heart of hearts, I do like a lot of these like a lot closer. I don't know that I'd flip it, but I do like Valiant here. I really was not impressed with Gladiators. I'm still not entirely too sure exactly how to read Vancouver. Valiant in general kind of jumped out to me and felt like they knew what they wanted to do. They had a very clear identity, whereas Gladiators did not. You saw OG coming in on Winston and Brian on Dorado. You saw their roster keep rotating. Birdring look okay, but I like Valiant's like identity. I think that they're going to do well in hero pools because of their established identity. I think they're going to come out like really aggressive, and Gladiators are going to be caught looking with hero pools.
I'm watching a completely different game, honestly.
You liked Jaru, didn't you? Jaru was pretty good.
Yeah, who's to say that Jaru isn't just the best torp in the league by far? Like, who's to say that? Kool-Aid in the eyeball.
Who's to say? I don't like Jaru. I think Cloudy looked shaky. Granted, you could chalk that up to game one fatigue. Yeah, I like Valiant. I think Valiant has a stronger identity. I think they're gonna upset. I'd say 60-40 Valiant.
Yeah, that's not that egregious. This is just a high uncertainty match, I feel like.
100%.
Like, I feel like Birdring looked pretty back to me.
Yeah, I would agree.
We haven't seen the full breadth of what that tank line is capable of, I feel like.
We didn't see OG the whole time. Talked about some things where Cloudy made sense on Rhine in that meta that would change. OGE did play well.
Yeah. That's those types of discussion. I think their backline is just solid. Definitely, like it's weird. Like Big Goose and Shaz look like the big negators for all but two like support lines in the entire league, where it's like, yeah, they're probably not going to.
What do you mean
lose
negate?
Big time. It's just like you look at big guys.
Are you claiming that they're average and they've been playing Overwatch League for a long time?
No, they're just absorbing.
Is that what you're telling me? We should be cutting Big Goose and Shaz?
No. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying the exact opposite. I'm saying they like just like put Big Goose and Shaz next to who was a very good backline, like
Bedosian and Toby.
Yeah, they're probably better than them, okay. or at least they're never going to be a problem. That's like my Big Goose and Shaz type of idea, where it's like everything from like top, not elite, but top to like lower average is just like it's not going to be a problem. That's what I think when I think Big Goose and Shaz. They're probably not going to style on them.
See, to me, all I'm hearing is average. I think they're the baseline of the league.
And Rain
are they
and
not,
Lastro?
for instance?
Rain and I like Lastro a lot. I think Lastro is better than Shaz.
But
I don't have that big of an issue with that.
Support duos?
Yeah. I think the support duo is not bad. I think this is probably
not bad. Even, so is that above average? Are they above the baseline of the Overwatch League?
I would have to sit there and judge everybody out, but just in feeling, Shaz and Big Goose feel like the baseline. They feel like your definition of over the hill like player that you want to be replaced. Is this the cutoff?
We have a very different definition.
This is more
of
towards Yiska.
I don't know about replace. They just I mean by the rules.
By your definition.
They already defined that in season 2. Yeah, I feel like because they were already serviceable in season 1 to me, and then they were serviceable in season 2 to me. And
so when do you replace them? When do you get rid of them?
I mean, whenever you like find better pieces, and I don't think that's
I
that
do
easy.
think that they're both in the at-risk age category.
Yeah,
Corona,
yeah.
So maybe after they're that old.
I mean, Kool-Aid is here now, so that's not a problem anymore. Of course, you don't know. You could I could just like do this and kill myself. And I have sriracha on my glasses. Hold on.
Homebound says to cuss because he drinks whenever you cuss.
Ooh.
Who's cussing?
Okay.
Is Yiska cussing? Well, that's going to have to be edited in post.
What? Wait, did that not beep?
Ooh, it beeped. It definitely beeped.
It's just one long beep.
Wow. All right.
That's that type of day, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Can
And
always
I have
clean up.
a lot of sriracha on my glasses.
Here's the thing, though, guys. I'm lazy. I'm not doing post.
Hey, you know
I throw
what? Deal with
I
that.
throw
It
a
is what it
compressor
is.
on it.
I
all
can't
good.
see shit.
Oh man. Yeah, I'd like you're making a lot of very sweeping reads on Gladiators that I'm just not comfortable with. Like I think after seeing
I'm
them
not comfortable with them.
I think after seeing them underperform for like 2 or 3 games, I'd be like, okay, I get it. That makes sense to me. But this just seems like they didn't really impress me in this one match against another team that
we all think is like some sort of like godlike team.
No. The opposite.
Okay.
In a team that very much looked confused, and there was just like, even then they're like, you know what? We don't really. Let's just go dive. Let's just Vancouver. Let's just go dive. And then the fact that
that gives you confidence
that they adjusted.
That they beat up on a team that was confused.
That they adjusted to a team that is one of the best of the league, and they just put them on their carry heroes and said, you know what? F it.
I think Vancouver can do that to any team, my dude.
Yeah, I don't think that's confusion. I just think that they're just like opting into a style, and I think that's the big criticism I have against Gladiators.
Why
they
they're
don't have a style.
opting into this style is like, we don't really know what to do here. They default to dive because they didn't. Yeah, they defaulted to dive because they didn't feel that they were performing as well on whatever that perceived meta was in week 1.
Also, because they like to have fun.
I don't think Vancouver was all that strong. I don't
disagree with you.
Taking them close is not a sign of confidence for me in this
when
team.
you don't have a week of scouting to do it, and you go, oh well, Vancouver goes dive, what do we do? And you still take it to him at 5. Like that has to count for something.
Sure. I don't think this is going to be a blowout by any means, but I like Valiant's not intangibles, but I like the way that they started their season. I think it was very direct. I think it was identifiable. They have a style. They know they want to go in.
They played 7 or 8 spots above where we put them. Sure, fine. Whereas the Gladiators played right about where we put them, which is still above 7 or 8 spots of where we put the Valiant. And again, I know it's not this attrition. I know this isn't this attrition thing. And how does hero pools affect this here?
Hero pools affects everything.
But in this specific matchup, how are all of a sudden
it changes the game? Everybody has to prepare differently. Every close match could flip the other way.
And Gladiators worse.
I agree.
Because of hero pools.
It all digresses to the mean. The thing is then
right. So wouldn't you want to look at the mean and say this is a team that knows what they want to do? They have a direction. Gladiators does not. I like Seoul. I
disagree with that. Again, I was saying Vancouver didn't, and Gladiators had to adjust based off of what they thought the understood direction was, and then they took it to a map 5.
Like I don't understand why you think Gladiators doesn't have a direction. Do you think like the pay just turned into a hippie?
Okay, so tell me their direction. You explain it to me.
W.
Whatever general direction the pay walks in.
That feels like Valiant's direction, does it not?
Yes, yeah.
Right. So what is Gladiator's direction? Is this just 2 teams just going to run at each other? That was not shown to me in that game against Vancouver. They did not seem like a very aggressive team.
Because Vancouver is just like such a wild bag of skills that could literally do this to every team in the league.
So you're just chucking that up to variance.
Not variance, just Vancouver being nutters.
Vancouver being Vancouver.
Vancouver has a 2% rate against bots extreme, where you hardcode the perfect algorithm, have like an alien race play that at 2,500 IQ, and then Huxell just says, but today is my Genji day, and then they win that as well. That's just the type of team that is, and you know what? They're going to laugh on their way off the stage.
That's true.
And
right, I agree.
They're also going to say Washington is a better team than them.
Yeah,
in the same.
They're mega trolls.
They're full on trolling. They were trolling. They've always been trolling.
100%. Do you
and
like
that makes
Jari,
you feel
though?
good about Gladiators?
No, it makes me feel good about Valiant.
No.
Again,
that was me
Joe,
being you talking to Yiska.
Joe, I feel like this is not a problem for me that you say Valiant here. I could easily say that as well.
Okay, then we can move on.
I mean, a certain percentage is just like we insert into gut feeling, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like we guesstimate, and I grant you this here. I think that's completely reasonable based on what we've seen. But yeah, this is a very close match where I would still say, just like on names, it's Gladiators. Also, like the pay always delivers as well. Like that's a constant that we have.
Sure.
I think
Easily
coaching staff,
one of the most consistent like coaches that we've seen in the Overwatch.
And what do you know? They make money, bro. Like, that's a motivator in these nihilistic times.
I'm all fine for intangibles, and I'm all fine for going with guts here, but the logic is lost on me, which is not hard to do, admittedly. So it is what it is, I guess.
Now, let me sell you on the Gladiator stocks over Seoul. I'm just kidding. That's not true.
Oh my God. I was about to, dude.
I can't do that. I can't do that.
So let's go on to this next one here. The LA Gladiators versus the Seoul Dynasty. The Gladiators are favored over Seoul on paper.
Because they played a game.
56-44.
I get it, odds makers.
And sure, fine. So, and I would agree. I think Seoul should, unless they show up and they are absolutely abysmal against Shock. Like, to the point of like, okay.
Sure.
Prophet needs to take a 20-second break, wash his hands, and exit. Short of that happening on Saturday, this should be a match that Seoul wins.
It's a perfect 50-50 for me. Does that frustrate you? Yeah, I feel like
I don't believe you believe that.
No way. No way.
If you think that Valiant and Gladiators can be close, and you're like not sold on Seoul, like, come on. So you might not be sold on Seoul versus San Francisco, who again, like, I'll admit, one hell of a prepared team over the course of a long season. Yeah, for a meta, like they can refine it and be the best team whenever they want to. I think Hero Pools throws a wrench in that plan that they're going to have to adapt to over the season, but Seoul's not bad.
Nope, it's a coin flip.
I don't know. I would go as high as like
it's like 60-40.
Yeah, 62-38 is like the highest I would go on that.
51% Seoul? Yeah, I can take that. 51% Seoul is fine.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Great. So you think Prophet's equal to Jaru? Is that what you're telling me with that?
Basically the same.
Basically the same. That's what I'm hearing, folks.
Wizard Young is not
today.
I just
learned
anyone on the pace.
Today, you can put this on Reddit. Today, I learned Prophet is about the same skill level as Jaru. Sold.
Yes, because
I believe him. I don't know about you, chat, but I believe him.
Yeah.
I think
what I'm saying.
I think I believe him.
Yeah. We actually found the Corona queue just here right now.
I think you've got some Kool-Aid in your eyes as well.
Dude, how is that? This team has a worse coaching staff in a season where coaching is very important.
Sure.
They have the better players. And it
See,
might
maybe,
not
maybe
matter as
that's
much.
where we disagree. I think coaching staff has always been important, but I think individual players is more important this season. I think Seoul has much better individuals.
I'm inclined to agree with Joe on this one, and I hate myself for it.
How often have you heard the story how a coach completely like sidelines player opinion, forces them to play some dumb stuff over the entire duration, and that then blocks the players off? Do you think that is magically
Say that one
will
more time.
never occur to again? Like,
do you think that is magically what?
how often have you heard the disconnect between players and coaching staff where the coach wants to play his meta and the players are like, oh no, that's actually like we want to play this, and then the coach just says, like, I have authority here, we're going to do this? Like, how much does coaching style work there? Oh, let's remember which team wasn't it the NYXL in season 1, Joe? Because I'm not going to have you get away with anything.
Now give me another
coaching
team.
style argument.
Give me one more. Give me one more.
Vancouver. For that argument?
That somehow Pagion and the coaching staff at Titans told them to play what they were already playing.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
No, told them to play something different than what the players wanted to play.
This is just normal. This happens in every team. Players have, if they was to self-coach, they would choose a different strategy, and then the teams would do that unless they're like, beaten down players without like.
We're gonna talk about. I want to ask you something about that after the show.
Okay.
We need to talk behind closed doors on that Titan point.
I mean, it's not just Titans. It's
virtually every team. Let's virtually every team.
Yes, where the coaches decide over the players, we're going to try this, and the players are like, I would rather try this. Do you think Houston was any different then?
I'm not gonna lie to you.
Did that work out for Houston's?
I think that disconnect is just like. It's just normal that there are disagreements and the coaching staff has the last. That's just how Overwatch.
I don't think that. No, I really don't believe it. Do you really believe that?
Yes.
Yeah,
I don't believe that for a second.
So. Yeah.
I don't believe that for a hot second.
I believe it has happened. That's as far as I go.
think there are some teams that do that.
I
really don't believe.
So Boston,
I
can
believe
definitely
it's more
say
than one.
that
sure,
happens,
I would agree. And again, like I wouldn't pull Boston against your point, right? Like that's just an outlier. I guess you could start from the top and say that's also an outlier, but I think that's kind of just dismissive. Like I agree, like NYXL is a great example of a top-down structure working really well. They also have really good pieces, to be fair.
Do you think that happens with London this season? Do you think that happens with Gladiators?
Probably not. If I'm going to be completely honest, I don't know. If there's a team
I think
to prove
input
that,
is considered. Final say is always the coaches, and it's not always going to be a harmonizing experience.
That would be an interesting. I genuinely don't know if that happens across the league on average. I think there are a lot of player-run teams. Whether the coaches like know it or not, like I think there's a lot of teams that are kind of dictated by the players. There's one in particular that I'm thinking of right now that you know of.
I don't know. I also don't know which team you're referring to, but
we'll talk about that later. I think not by and large. I think at least half the teams are player run, or mostly player run, I should say. I don't think the coaches have the last.
We have too many generals. Like
I don't think so.
Since season 2, I think.
Maybe this season might be different. I don't know. That's tough to call. I really don't know.
I mean, London used to be player run, like the old London.
Right? Exactly. And obviously, we know what happened with that. But there again, like I wouldn't be able to. Like that's not fair for me to argue against that. To your point, right? Like that's kind of almost variance.
Yeah.
But yeah, I genuinely don't know if I agree. I'd have to talk to more people. I think I'd like to think that you're a little bit more informed. Like you do talk to more people than I do. So like admittedly, but I find that hard to believe.
I think it's also not close, if I'm perfectly honest. Like everyone on Gladiators is a proven top tier coach.
Yeah,
With
I mean, I agree with that.
crazy
100%.
meta adaptations as well.
Sure.
There's
Yep.
no debate from me on that point. I like Gladiators coaching staff, and I think that's a great example of that structure working. If you can take that roster with obvious stars and a lot of just like very average role player pieces and make that like a playoffs team, like a direct seed, that would be a great story. I don't think a lot of teams over the course of the season or seasons past have done that. And if that's actually the case, then we need to overhaul the Overwatch League. We need to get some new coaches in here. Because if that's the case, then we messing up. There's a lot of teams messing up.
I think that's also like, I feel like this specific opinion, like for instance, XQC was said it before that he felt like coaches were overcoaching, not leaving enough space for players. It's mostly down to the players. Players don't have enough freedom to implement their own ideas. They understand the micro better than coaches do, but the coaches force the macro. That's just like an age-old story, I feel like.
Yeah, I agree. That happens in a lot of that happened in League, that happened in.
But also remember
Overwatch,
that
obviously.
there's only a handful of coaches that actually work in Overwatch League. So we've also seen players say the exact opposite.
To be fair, what I think a lot of those players are saying is that they don't feel like they're learning anything, rather than I think that's very hyperbolic. Generally, I struggle to.
I mean, yeah, that's how an Overwatch League player communicates. Yes, but but still, right? Like, there's obviously, and honestly, probably different systems work better for different teams and
100%.
organizations.
Yeah,
Definitely, yeah.
Like,
100%.
you can't. I don't think we can say season 1 Boston didn't benefit from a structure that says, no, shut up, you play this,
Yeah.
and we will all win together, kind of thing. Whereas, I don't know, like maybe we use Vancouver, or I don't know who's.
That's where I almost think is an antithesis.
I'm trying to think of a team that just kind of like ran themselves and we play what we want and like send us some maps, coaches.
London season 1.
Sure.
That was like the player stock on that team was just too dang high. And I don't think the coaches could reel them in. That's why they had to blow that roster up.
Okay.
ATL.
So
I don't actually know much about the ATL.
That team
coaching.
also feels like a team that is mostly player run.
More, yes. Yeah, I agree. Defiant as well.
Also very player run. It feels like it. I don't know if it's actually true, just from on its face and how the players talk, and it feels very player run.
Yeah. Fusion probably, maybe
little bit.
It was my understanding with Defiant, and I don't have as close a connections as you guys, but from I have had some conversations, and my understanding was last year's Defiant was very painfully rigidly structured, and this year, as far as if A doesn't happen, then B happens. If B doesn't happen, then C happens. And it's just very and this is the thing you follow. Whereas this, and I can't remember who it was said this, or but actually was that
Probably
Paris?
Broy.
Was that Paris?
Paris was another team that was like overly structured, and they're more.
Let's just say
looking
Paris
at bread and
because
butter.
I don't want to doubt about if I'm right about Define or not. But Paris is one where last year they were very boom, 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 boom. You know, bust out a spreadsheet,
like
game
flow
theory,
chart,
and just go. And this year they're still structured, but it's largely more structured around player empowerment and decisions than it is around pre-planned plays and coaches, and if not A, then B. If not B, then C.
I think that's a team that in general, like, doesn't that's a structure that shows that the structure can happen without necessarily being a general.
Yeah, I think that there are some like
maybe
that's where I thought we were done talking about Paris. Right? No more Paris. No more Fusion.
Paris. No more coaching.
No, we're done.
Yeah.
That's why Seoul wins.
Okay.
So I say this is a one for Seoul.
Yeah.
Joe says
I think this is a clear Seoul.
Yiska says this is a coin flip.
Coin flip, like, come on.
Functionally, but yeah, if I had to name a favorite, I would go Seoul as well.
Now you would. Sure.
No, 51%, as I said.
Might as well make it 99.
Yeah, right.
So let's go to the last one. San Francisco Shock versus LA Valiant. Shock come in at 78-22.
I wish I could come up with a way that Valiant wins this, but there's no way.
He was trying for a moment.
I tried. I genuinely tried. Valiant fans, I know you're out there. I tried. There's no way. There's no conceivable world. I've seen all 14,500,803 different possibilities, and San Francisco wins them all.
Nah. I feel like...
Explain to me what way. Oh, Prophet Yiska.
I mean, okay. Do you understand how
tell me how
work,
Gig
right?
win? Yeah, tell me how Gig wins.
I don't mean that Valiant would have to be the favorites here. That's not what I mean. But this is not a 99-1 scenario where it's like, no, you were saying it's a 100-0 scenario. I don't think that's possible. That's true. No.
How? Show me a scenario.
Dude, I
explain to me.
I feel like now the
explain to me how Gig wins.
Ayahuasca is wearing off, and you're finally evaluating Shock how the in due process, like
they've had a day to refine exactly what's being played. Is that so crazy to say? Would you think
that day makes a difference? So if they first played the Valiant and then played the Seoul, it would be 80-20 Shock.
I wouldn't say 80-20, but I would have Shock as much more of a favorite. I would have Shock winning that game. Yes, I genuinely can say that.
Why?
This is a refinement team. Look at their history.
And they do that overnight?
No, but they have a way better idea. Look at Paris.
I don't...
can't argue with that.
I don't have... Nah, I'm not going to step into that. I have an opinion on that, and I'm not going to talk about this.
You're saving that one?
We'll have a Reddit clip out of context by some dumbass in chat.
That's
doing it. Yeah,
Drink.
doing one solid. But yeah, no. I feel like the odds, even for the odds game pod, are a little bit rough. I would say 70.
What are odds for Valiant Chuck?
78-22.
I feel like that's exactly where you want them, right? For you.
Pretty.
I go 70-30.
Whatever. Yeah, I really don't see I don't see a world where Shock loses this. Period. Yeah, does Valiant have a clear style? 100%. But this is also Shock, day 2, prepared. And clap some cheeks.
Easy.
Easy.
All right. I don't think we need to discuss it.
No, not much to discuss because every time I ask him how Gig wins, he just deflects.
What wins?
I'm
angry. How does
angry.
Gig win that game?
I'm just kidding.
How does Gig beat Super in the neutral? How does that happen?
I mean, how does Marvel or Gesture where's he at not get pounded by Super?
Hero pools are a hell of a drug, man.
I'm done, dude. I'm done. I need a magical phrase like
when,
that where I can say all kinds of bullshit and just
hand wave you off. Can't argue with that, can you?
The famous cop outs of an Overwatch analyst is hero pools, coaching, and strength of schedule.
Yeah, there you go.
There it is. It's strength of schedule.
But it's a bye week.
It's a trap game. It's a trap game.
Yeah.
San Francisco isn't preparing for Valiant, and so they're gonna get.
And then when you predict them, and then you go back and forgot it was a trap game, you're like, well, it was a trap game, so you know.
That's what I was thinking. I should have said it. I decided not to. I didn't want to get made fun of. Yep. Basically every YouTube comment we've ever gotten. Yeah, yes. Cool. You have to show, me when you made the thing.
Yeah.
With the date showing. Yeah. Volamel is a national treasure. He is.
Like toilet paper.
Hey, man. Like Charmin Ultra. I have a soft white underbelly.
He's 4-ply.
Yeah.
All right.
And currently we're getting to the point where we're poking through the surface.
So I also
Gotta
need
watch
to
out.
do.
Open one
I
open.
do need to say something here because it's come to my attention that some people don't understand that when we passionately argue, we don't hate each other.
No,
We aren't angry at each other.
not in the slightest.
We aren't actually upset with anybody.
No.
It's just fun for us to.
Disclaimer: we're having fun.
We're having a
Liverpool's
ton
is
of
a hell
fun.
of a drug, yeah.
It's a hell of a drug. You know,
Deflection.
we've got great coaches behind the scenes making sure this all
This is kind of a trap week, you know.
it was a trap week. All right.
Next week is a trap week, my dude. I tell you what. And like the week
If you thought I had hot takes today, whew,
dude, 20.
I got flaming hot
games?
Cheetos.
Oh my god. Like, and I'm almost out of blood pressure medication. You actually going to kill me
I'm
next
killing
week.
this man. I'm killing him. 6 feet under.
So it's funny. Some people think that we don't like each other, or just like two hosts don't like each other. And truth is, I hate both of you. But
The hate is mutual all around.
all around, you know, f- you guys. There you go. There you go. Homebound. Yeah. No, we're just chilling, having fun.
No, speaking of, when does Chengdu play Boston?
Why?
I want to see Lee versus Color Hex. I want to make sure I know who's better.
Make sure it's
Dude,
not
I'm
on a trap.
gonna-
Just make sure it's not on a trap week.
I'm going to learn slow dancing. If Boston wins Chengdu, you're getting a minute of me slow dancing. Just like I told you.
That
Sam,
sounds
slow dancing.
great.
I'd
Chengdu.
love that.
Eric, get that one down somewhere, please. Thanks.
Either way, I'd love to see you slow dance. That'd be fun. That'd be fantastic. That's content.
I told you so. I told you so. That's what it's gonna look like. A minute of this.
I'd love that bet. That sounds fantastic.
I might even get my.
How do I
Okay,
lose
I'm
that
not
bet?
gonna-
You're the worst at bets. Holy, close the show
Yeah,
before he makes any more stupid bets.
No,
I mean, you still want that.
that's like
anime,
30%
so don't
of
you?
our viewership
Yeah.
is based on what stupid bet is Yiska going to take this week. Sorry. We're financially tied to it.
You
at this
lose
point.
one bet, it's over, dude. Like the one bet. Nobody remembers how I called Vancouver against Valiant last season, right? Like that's just gone now. God.
Nobody was.
Only the
Negative on
negative
that.
stuff sticks, dude.
All right, we're done. We're done. The vodka is hitting me now. Yep, that's how we know we're done. Thanks
Yeah.
for hanging out with us, guys. If you like the show, go to twitch.tv/KickedTripod. Drop a follow. Drop any Twitch Prime subs there as well. We really appreciate it. Or go to patreon.com/tacticalcrouch. You can also support us right there. Great. We got some great perks coming up. And we really like hanging out. We did game night last week. It was a ton of fun. I'm I think I'm getting worse at Quiplash.
Just need to slide the filter over a little bit. You know, let the thoughts flow a little bit more.
Maybe. I try
see how
too
this
hard
works.
to be. Whenever I play with like Katie's family, they are suckers for puns. So I make everything into puns.
so you-
and I
you
win
know the
like
meta.
every game. And the
Yeah.
meta on this one is just like so
The
dynamic.
meta's just pandering.
It's like
just like
somebody will
enter
say
host
Yiska,
name.
someone will say
Yeah.
Yiska and get 8 votes, and then on the next one, someone will say Yiska and they'll get 0 votes.
Yeah.
It's tough.
And
It's
you
a
just
tough
be like,
read. It's
"Then
hero
why?"
pools.
Like there's one where I said it, and if my answer was before the other answer, it would have
Yeah,
gotten
you
voted for.
can get
I just get screwed.
like sterilized almost like by somebody putting in something similar
Yeah.
like the round before. So
So
you can't really help
So
that.
anyways, a ton of fun there. So yeah, patreon.com/tacticalcrouch. Also go to bit.ly/race the mayhem if you want some cool merch and continue to race the mayhem with us, pledging healthy lifestyle choices for mayhem wins. So you don't really have to make them, probably.
Pick another team, folks. Pick another team.
I know.
Yeah.
I told you. You should have listened.
Then
Right?
again, Lucio's band, right?
Would you rather
Oh, no,
race
it's
the
not
mayhem
next
or
week.
race the gladiators?
I'd much rather race the Gladiators.
Like because you're
You
gonna have
mean
to do
other
so
end.
much more work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this boy wants to be healthy. That's what he's
yeah, is that like a then
Yeah.
I don't have to do anything, or is that what?
No.
Okay.
No.
Oh,
I
okay.
genuinely want to lose weight. So I'm
Okay.
like, Florida, You can't win. I'm just gonna start
Fair
racing
enough.
chalk.
So this man cannot race the Shock because hero pools, and they have so
Oh, yeah,
many
true.
matches of day ones. Jesus Christ! Thank God there's
They're
no
really good
relegation
at
for the San
adapting,
Francisco
but
Shock.
not
this
right
year.
I know
away.
they might just fall out.
You know, they're really good at adapting. but not right
T1,
away.
they're coming.
Yeah. All right. Yiska, you're at Yiska out. Joe, you're at Volamel. Joe, I saw that you posted an article, didn't you?
Yeah, today.
On
Power rankings.
So,
Power rankings for week 6. Go check them out.
Yiska, what do you got coming out?
I read a dope speech from Charlie Munger, I think his name is, like the business partner of Warren Buffett, and he had a dope speech, and that kind of inspired me to go down that path. I had already thought about something similar, and then when these idiosyncrasies of what I read and then reality just collides with it again, I feel like that's a sign. Not really, but it reinforces the idea that I should be doing something about this. And I think it's a cool concept, and it allows for a really dope clickbait title, because I know you are not going to click on anything that is remotely informational and not just drama baiting. Thank you very much.
It's about playing the meta. You're just shaking your fist at the god.
True. Yeah,
You just gotta play the meta.
I gotta
play the meta.
I gotta quiplash, yeah.
Jeez. All right. As for me, find me everywhere at KickedTripod. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. This is a fun one. We'll be back after the music, and we'll do a thing.